Hey everyone, when I went to the Jagex HQ, I was able to test out Legacy Mode, which if you don't know what it is, it's pretty much a reskin of RuneScape 3 to how it was in 2012. So if you remember 2012 or 2010 or 2011, the interface pretty much was a fixed screen interface, even though you can play Legacy Mode in Regicidal as well. But it was a fixed screen interface with the minimap in the top right, it had the buttons on the side for health, prayer, and summoning, it had your run energy on another side, the world map, etc, etc, etc. It had the inventory, the quest tab, all of that stuff in one central location. There wasn't a bunch of buttons. You had your chat box and you had your game, and most importantly, there was no ability bar. So basically that's what it is. It's just a reskin of RuneScape 3. It's nothing different. It's not a different server. It's not a different game. It is just a reskin of the live game. And basically, it allows people to do the combat as they would have in 2012, opposed to with the Evolution of Combat. Now, the Evolution of Combat came out sometime in November of 2012, so I'm talking obviously before then, how it was right before the EOC hit, and that's pretty much what it would be like. And to be honest, when I went to go test it, I didn't have that much of a high expectation for it. I really just thought it would be a way for people to play the game that were upset with the EOC and don't like it, and that's just to please those people. But honestly, it surpassed my expectations. Now, I didn't set a high expectation. Like I said, I had really, really low expectations. I didn't think I would enjoy it at all. I was really just set in stone on playing the Evolution of Combat the way it is. And after I got there and I played it just for one day, I really saw how awesome it is and how revolutionary it is. Now, I wrote a Tumblr post, which I will also link in the description of this video, so if you want to read that, you can. And basically, I just said in that post the pros and cons to Legacy Mode, how revolutionary it could be, and the way it would be good and how they would have to go about it. And basically, everything I said in that Tumblr post was really true and did come to life. And really, it was its own project. It was a whole different thing. It didn't take away from any other RuneScape updates or projects in the future. It was its own separate entity and didn't take away from anything else that RuneScape had planned. So they did a really good job with it, and it's still in alpha mode. So that's basically what I tested. When we went there to the HQ, we tested it in alpha mode, which is pre-beta if you didn't know. And that means it's just right before it's about to be ready to go into beta, and it's good enough to test, but it's not fully finished. And honestly, it just surpassed my expectations. Like I said, I did not expect to enjoy it, have fun with it, or even use it for that sake. And I did, and I had a lot of fun with it. They did a really, really fantastic job with that, and I'm not just tooting Jagex's horn or tooting the company I work for, but it really did come out great. I went PKing with Scape Skill for a good maybe 3 or 4 hours. We just did one iteming, we did Darok PKing, we did high level, high risk PKing, we did lower noob tier PKing. We did all of the different kinds of outputs you could do in the wild, and I solely believe that this can bring back the wilderness and PvP because it's RuneScape how it was before the EOC hit. And it really is a good representation of that. The damage output is pretty much the same. It's on par with the EOC. I did some bossing attempts, and I believe with the abilities and the EOC, I did a QBD run in about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And I think with the Legacy Mode, I did one in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So there is a variety. If you are good with the EOC, you want to be using that for bossing and things like KK, Nex, and Virago, where you have to get rid of stuns and you have to do all of these other complicated things and maneuvers, then you would definitely want to use the EOC. But if you're just doing some casual Slayer or you want to go PKing, Legacy Mode is definitely a good representation for that. And it allows you to just kind of relax more. It's more like Revolution, but you have the reskin of using special attacks and, you know, having other class weapons be helpful like Dragon Claws. So things like that is what make Legacy Mode cool, that you can use special attacks again, that you can play in the old style interface if you don't like all of the blue and dark blue kind of tone that the Evolution of Combat in RuneScape 3 has, and you don't like using abilities. It really just suits every player's needs. Now, you have old school if you want to play in the really old modern days where you hit little numbers like 2 and 20 and 40 was a max hit, or you can play the live game RS3, which is basically the future and how the game revolutionized, and you can use abilities in the Evolution of Combat, or you can just flick on Legacy Mode and play it like it was in 2010 to 2012, where the number outputs were in the hundreds and it's triple digits instead of double digits. So you have the whole scale of what you want to play, and I think that if anyone complains like, oh, we should have a 2008 server, a 2009 server, then you're just getting out of hand. I mean, we have RuneScape Classic, we have old school RuneScape, and we have RuneScape 3 with Legacy mode, and that is enough, I think. I don't know where you would draw the line of enough is enough. Like, how much further do you have to go to please the players to do combat in a different way? Everyone has their own kind of pie now, so everyone can cut the cake any way they want, but RuneScape in general is back, and I truly feel that, and I think that it's going to be great when Legacy mode comes into the game. I'm not going to use it for major things like bossing at all, because even though it's more convenient to use Legacy mode and obviously not worry about using abilities and hitting the right rotations, but it's the way I enjoy playing, and I think it's the best overall. It is a better damage output if you're using abilities and you know how to use them and you know how to use rotations. It is much better than using Legacy mode, trust me. But if you're fighting in PvP style stuff like in the wilderness or in the duel arena, both of you using Legacy mode is definitely how it used to be. If someone is using EOC abilities and someone is using Legacy mode, the fights are kind of balanced, but they're not really, because at the moment in the Legacy mode, you don't have anything that really stops you from being frozen. So in the EOC, obviously, you have freedom, which allows you to break through stuns, and that is helpful. But they are working on a solution to that, obviously. They're not going to just leave that like that. Like I said, it's just in alpha mode, and everything I tested was in alpha. It's not ready to go live yet, and it's not coming into the game yet. But it was a whole lot of fun, and there are definitely pros and cons to it. A lot of people think that the evolution of combat will be undermined because of this, but I can wholeheartedly tell you that it won't, because it's just different. It really is. I mean, the EOC damage output is close to Legacy mode, and another example for you would be Simon and James from RuneShark fought on livestream. One was using Legacy mode and one was using the EOC, and they went at it, and one fight the EOC user won, and the other fight the Legacy mode user won. So it really can go both ways. But there are going to be PvP worlds only for Legacy mode, so they will have that kind of feature so that when you're in the wilderness, you know you're versing someone who's also using Legacy mode. That way you don't have a disadvantage to getting stunned or whatnot, but like I said, there will be a solution for that. But I would say currently the evolution of combat is much better for bossing and doing that kind of activity. And then Legacy mode would be much better for doing the PvP sort of aspect of things, because it is a lot of fun. Like I said, Scapeskill and I went at it for hours and we had a blast. We really had a truly fun time, and we were both laughing and having a really great time, honestly. Everyone was watching us on the big screen and it was cool. It really was. And just trying that out was a lot of fun, and I thought I wasn't going to use this at all, but if I were to ever PK, or maybe if I was going to do Slayer and I wanted to use Legacy mode instead of Revolution, or just using my abilities, then I would flick it on as well. But I would definitely use it for those sorts of things, and I would definitely go back to PKing and making Fun Stuff Fridays in the wilderness and stuff like that with Legacy mode, because it really is fun, and I had a truly fun time, and that's no bullshit right there. Sorry for cursing, but that's no bullshit. It really was a fun time for me, and that's coming from someone who pretty much turned off Legacy mode completely and said, hey, I hope this doesn't, stop updates from coming out, and I hope a lot of development time isn't taken on this, but it has to be done really carefully, and it has to be well balanced, because if it's not, it could be really hectic. Like, why would I use abilities if I can use Legacy mode and not do anything? So they have to make sure that the EOC output, if you're doing your rotations right and you're clicking the abilities correctly, that you are doing more damage, and the pro EOC user will always be the Legacy mode user. But you also have to make it so Legacy mode is worth using, and that it doesn't get undermined so much by the EOC, but it's worth having that kind of thing to use. So basically what I'm trying to say is wait for the beta to play it yourself. If you have any questions about it, I can try to answer them for you off of all I know and what I learned from testing it out. But it is coming soon. The beta will probably be sometime in the summer, so you will get to play it soon. It's a lot of fun, and I strongly suggest anyone who quit RuneScape to start getting back into RS3, just getting familiar with some of the new items, the new bosses, some of the new content, and just get used to that, because like I said, Legacy mode isn't going back to 2010 or 2012. It is just a reskin of the live game. So everything in the live game will currently be in Legacy mode as well. So get some more background knowledge of RS3 if you're playing old school only at the moment, or if you're not playing RuneScape at all, try to come back, learn a little bit, maybe start up a bank account a little bit and try to get some bank funds for armor or weapons or potions or food, and just get ready to come back, because honestly, when you play Legacy mode, if you missed RuneScape how it was, it really is a good job of representing that, and it's a lot of fun. So I would definitely suggest trying it out. Make sure that when the beta comes out, you play it and you give feedback on it. Once again, this is the main thing. The reason why the EOC was so not liked by everyone was because a lot of people didn't try the beta, a lot of people didn't give a lot of good feedback, they were just immediately, shut down to change, and no one really gave well enough feedback. I mean, sure, feedback was given, and a lot of it was good, but not enough was given. A lot more people had to speak their voices for that not to come in the game, and just be repositioned so that it would work well within the game and not just be sprung upon us. So we need to give feedback on Legacy mode so that way we don't have anything left to argue about. We have a Legacy mode, we have the evolution of combat, we have old school RuneScape, and that's it. There you go. That's RuneScape in general. You have RuneScape as a whole throughout the ages, all in one central location. So it really is cool. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope I was able to give you a little bit more of an insight to what Legacy mode is about and my opinion of it. Like I said, I think it's good for the game because it will return people who quit and didn't enjoy the EOC back, because it really is enjoyable and it was a lot of fun for me personally, and that's coming from someone who actually loves the EOC and think it was right for the game. So I think that this is good and covers all the bases, and I will definitely be using it for PKing, absolutely, and sometimes Slayer maybe, but for bossing I'll stick to the EOC. It gives people options, and that's what it was meant to be for. So it does its job correctly, and I really think it's good for the game. And once again, I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. I hope I was able to give you my opinion of someone who wasn't really fond of the idea of a Legacy mode, because I love the EOC, and I was hoping that it wouldn't undermine it. And this is my true opinion. I hope I got that well across, and I hope you all give it a chance and give accurate feedback after the beta comes out. Anyways, I'll talk to you all in the next one. Later, everyone.